My stepkids called me a servant, not a father. I sold their car, shut off their cards, and booked a one-way flight. Now they're learning how to ride the subway and live without me. Don't forget to subscribe and share your experiences below. Let's get started. My name's Michael. I'm 49, and for 8 years, I've carried another man's burden like it was my own. His children, his debts, his silence. Jenna came with baggage, 2 boys, Luke and Colton. They were 14 and 12 when I moved in. Old enough to remember the man who gave them life, young enough to resent me for not being him. He vanished, just like that. One day he was there, barking orders, making promises. The next, gone. No goodbye, no alimony, not $1 in child support. He didn't leave a family, he left a crater. I stepped into it thinking I could build something out of the wreckage. I thought love would fill the gaps, that effort would earn me a place. I was wrong. In the early years, I did everything not for credit, not for praise, but because that's how I was raised. You see something broken, you fix it. You see people drowning, you throw them a rope. I paid the back taxes on the house so it wouldn't be taken. I got the old car running so Luke could make it to school on time. I bought Colton a new laptop when his stopped booting. Not a word of thanks. Not even a nod. They tolerated me, like I was some background noise they couldn't mute. It was always the little things at first. You notice your names not on the Christmas cards. You realize they never introduce you to their friends. You pick them up from school, and when someone asks, "Is that your dad?" they laugh like it's a punchline. Stings, but you shake it off. Because you tell yourself, I chose this. I chose them. It'll get better. Didn't. They grew into their teeth. Sarcasm turned to spite. Every favor became an expectation. Every act of generosity a given. If the Wi-Fi went down, they'd yell from their rooms. If the fridge was empty, they'd leave a passive-aggressive note on the counter. Never to me, always to Jenna. I wasn't a person. I was a service. A convenience. The handyman with a debit card. Jenna saw it. She just didn't stop it. Sometimes, in quiet moments, she'd say, "They're just kids. They'll come around." And I'd nod, even though I knew better. Because kids mirror what they're allowed to. If you teach them that silence is acceptable, they grow up believing disrespect is normal. She didn't parent, she placated. The first time I really felt it, not just the cold shoulder, but the active erasure, was during Colton's 16th birthday. I had planned the whole thing. Booked the venue. Bought the decorations. Paid for catering. Even rented a projector to show baby photos I digitized from dusty albums Jenna kept in the attic. I thought it would be special. A memory he'd keep. When his friends showed up, I hovered near the back, giving him space. I didn't expect a thank you speech. But when one of his buddies asked, "Hey, is that your dad?" Colton didn't even look back. "No," he said. "That's my mom's husband. Not even stepdad. Just a technicality. A footnote." I swallowed it, like I always did. But it never stopped. It never even slowed down. They weaponized omission like it was sport. Luke got accepted into college. I was the last to know. Colton needed dental work. I found out when the bill hit my inbox. When they wanted something, they knew where to find me. But when it came time to include me, I was a ghost. Invisible. One night, I came home from a long shift. Overtime, unpaid, because the company was cutting costs. My knees ached. My back felt like it had been through a grinder. I walked into the kitchen, hoping for something warm. Instead, I found the fridge wide open, shelves ransacked, crumbs on the counter. Luke was sprawled on the couch, headphones on, eyes glued to the TV. "Luke," I said, keeping my voice level, "could you close the fridge next time? Power bills aren't a joke." He didn't even look at me. Jenna was upstairs. Colton was locked in his room. And me? I stood in the middle of the kitchen, wondering how a man could live in a house for 8 years and still feel like a trespasser. The moment that broke me wasn't even loud. It wasn't dramatic. It happened at dinner on a rainy Tuesday. Nothing special. We were eating roasted chicken, dry, overcooked, but I didn't care. I was tired. I asked Luke how college classes were going. He shrugged. "You wouldn't get it. he muttered. You didn't even go. I looked up. Excuse me? You're not a dad, he said louder this time. You're staff. Colton snorted. Being a father's something you earn, he added, without lifting his eyes from his phone. I turned to Jenna, waiting, hoping, wanting her to say something. She just gave a tight smile, reached for her wine, and said, Teenagers can be harsh. That was it. No correction. No defense. Just a shrug and a sip. In that moment, something shifted. Not in them, in me. I felt a weight lift, and underneath it, there was something colder. Not sadness. Not anger. Clarity. If I was staff, then staff can quit. If being a father was conditional, then maybe so was the life they took for granted. Because here's the thing no one tells you. Generosity becomes servitude the second it's no longer met with respect. I wasn't their father, fine. But I was the one who paid the bills, fixed the car, filed the taxes, bought the damn chicken they were chewing while calling me worthless. You don't call the man feeding you staff. You don't spit in the face of the hand that's held you up for years and expect it to keep catching you. That night, after the plates were cleared and Jenna turned on her show, I sat at the kitchen counter with a notebook. Not a laptop, not a phone, just pen and paper. I wrote down every expense. Rent, insurance, phones, gas, groceries, utilities, tuition, birthday gifts. 8 years of receipts in my head like tombstones. I did the math. It was nearly $90,000 in the last year alone. For a family that didn't even see me as part of it. It wasn't about the money. It never had been. It was about being erased while carrying everything. I looked at the numbers until the ink blurred, until my fingers cramped. And I made a decision. A silent one. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't fight. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. But I would let them see what life feels like when the invisible man walks away. When the staff stops showing up. They said it plainly. I was staff. Not family. Not father. Not even a man with a name. So I answered in silence. That same night, while the house slept under the hum of central air and smug entitlement, I opened my laptop, logged into every account I had ever linked to their comfort, and started cutting wires. First, the car. It was a 2014 Civic I had bought for Luke when he got his license. My name was still on the title. I scheduled a pickup through a dealership's buyback program, logged the mileage, and took the offer. The payment hit my account the next morning. Gone. Next, the family plan. Verizon. I'd been paying for 4 lines, mine, Jenna's, the boys. Unlimited data, insurance, the works. I downgraded to a single line. Mine. Click. Confirm. Done. Then the cards. I had set up monthly transfers to their individual checking accounts, allowances, gas money, incidentals. Hundreds of dollars each month flowing out automatically like tribute to gods who never noticed the hand offering it. I cut them all off. Every cent utilities? Moved all to a shared account split 3 ways. Groceries? Stopped the auto delivery. Insurance? Notified the carrier that I would no longer be covering dependents. By 3 a.m., the infrastructure of their entitlement was gone. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of guilt, out of clarity. There's a peace in severing ties when you finally understand they were ropes around your neck all along. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Just 1 sentence. Now's your chance to show how life works without a servant. No signature. No drama. Just fact. By the time Jenna woke up, I was already in Denver. I didn't sneak. I didn't slither out in shame. I drove through the rain with a full tank, a clean conscience, and a heart beating for the first time in years. I rented a 1-bedroom apartment with wood floors, white walls, and no teenage ghosts haunting the hallways. No one texted that first day, but by the 3rd, the calls started. Luke was first. Why isn't the car in the driveway? He shouted into the voicemail I never returned. What the hell, Mike? I've got classes. I can't take the bus. Colton followed. My phone's off. Did you forget to pay the bill? What's going on? Then Jenna. Furious. Confused. The power company called. Our autopay bounced. What's happening? I didn't answer. That was the new rule. They spoke and I listened from a distance. No explanations. No rescues. Just the echo of their own words looping back like karma. I wasn't hiding. I filed a change of address. I told my boss. I even gave Jenna the courtesy of an emailed forwarding address in case of legal documents or emergencies. But emotionally, I was gone. Like their father before me, but with the difference that I had first paid my dues. It took a week before they realized it wasn't temporary. Jenna messaged me, "Are you punishing them? This is insane. They're kids." I replied once. Only once. They said I wasn't their father. You agreed. I'm acting accordingly. She didn't answer. That silence, her silence, said more than any argument ever could. She knew what she had allowed, what she had endorsed with her laughter, her smirks, her cowardly shrugs. Let them build their world without the man they dismissed. Colton tried Venmo requests. Luke sent Cash App pings. Each one a pathetic echo of the lifeline I'd yanked from under them. I watched them pile up like junk mail. Decline, decline, decline. I blocked their numbers. Not forever, just long enough for the illusion of dependency to snap. I got a message through Jenna 2 weeks later. Luke missed 2 classes. No car. No gas money. Said he was at risk. Colton borrowed money from a friend to pay a phone bill but still got cut off. Jenna had to pick up a weekend shift at her old nursing job just to keep the lights on. Welcome to independence. Funny how quickly resentment turns to regret when comfort disappears. I started journaling. Not out of sentimentality, out of survival. I needed a record. A way to catalog my awakening. Because I wasn't just gone. I was done. In Denver, I started to sleep again. Not pass out, not collapse from exhaustion, but sleep. That quiet, guiltless kind where your heart doesn't race in the dark. I'd forgotten how that felt. Each morning, I made coffee, opened the blinds, and let sunlight fill the space where conflict used to live. The only voice I heard was my own. No slamming doors. No backtalk. No half-muttered insults mutating into dogma. Peace has a sound. It's the absence of entitlement. I'd scroll through social media sometimes, see photos Jenna still posted, like nothing had changed. The boys smiling at a birthday dinner, candles lit, faces hollow. A caption, "Making it work." Lies. They weren't making it work. They were drowning in the vacuum I left behind, but pride kept them afloat. Barely. I saw it in Luke's unshaven jaw, in the bags under Jenna's eyes, in the tight forced smile on Colton's face. Their comfort had always come with a price, and I had stopped paying. Jenna called again a month later. I picked up, just to hear how deep the rot had spread. "Luke's talking about dropping out," she said. "Colton's skipping class. They're angry. They don't understand." I waited. "You could just come back," she said, voice softer. "Set boundaries, but be present. Be part of the family again." I asked one question, "Did they apologize?" She hesitated. "They're figuring it out." I hung up. "If you want my presence, you give me your respect. Not as a reward, as a prerequisite. You don't get the man and the money after denying the man himself." Colton emailed me. It wasn't long. Just raw. "We thought you just had everything handled. Turns out we were just doing nothing." I stared at the screen for a long time. That wasn't an apology. But it was a beginning. A week later, Luke showed up in Denver. I knew he would. He needed to see me not as the pushover. Not the man who groaned under the weight of his silence. He needed to see who I was without their permission. He looked older. Not just thinner, hollowed out. Worn. College hadn't broken him. Reality had. We sat at a diner. No yelling. No pleasantries. He said, "When you left, it felt like the world stopped." I didn't answer. He went on, "That's when I realized who the real father was." That sentence, it didn't heal me. It didn't erase what had been said. But it cracked something. Open space. Not for forgiveness, but for recognition. We finished our coffee in silence. He paid. It was the first time he ever paid for anything with me. I walked back to my apartment alone. Didn't invite him up. Didn't hug him. just watched as he disappeared into the evening. It wasn't reconciliation. It was acknowledgement. The foundation had shifted. The hardest part of starting over isn't the loneliness. It's the stillness. In Denver, the noise stopped. For the first time in almost a decade, no one needed anything from me. There were no slammed doors, no rolled eyes, no footsteps overhead reminding me I was never truly welcome. Just silence. At first, I mistook it for peace. But peace is earned. Silence just shows you how much of your life was filled with echoes. I kept to myself. Woke early, walked 2 miles to a diner near my building. Same stool, same waitress. The kind of routine that doesn't ask you questions. I learned to live with less noise, less obligation, less illusion. But I also learned to see more. I saw how much of myself I had given up, how many years I'd traded for the idea of family. And I saw, in Jenna's messages, in the boys' silence, how quickly people expect you to come back after they've spit you out. The bills didn't stop. Not the ones I owed, the ones they did. Luke's college sent a notice to my old email. Still had me listed as the responsible party. The final tuition payment was overdue. I forwarded it to Jenna. Colton's school counselor emailed me by mistake. Thought I was still listed as guardian. Said he'd missed 3 assignments, hadn't shown up to practice. I responded once. I'm no longer involved. Please contact his parents. His parents. Not me. That word used to sting. Now it fit like armor. A month into my absence, Jenna sent a message. Luke sold his Xbox. Said he needed the money for textbooks. Another, Colton got a job. Grocery store. Minimum wage. He hates it. And another, we're getting by. Barely. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't care, but because their discomfort wasn't punishment, it was reality. They wanted independence. They wanted to decide who mattered and who didn't. Fine. But life isn't funded by pride. Luke called one night. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was lower than I remembered. No bravado. Hey, just wanted to say I've been thinking about what I said, about what we said. It wasn't right. Pause. I don't know how to fix it, but I wanted to say that. I replayed it twice, saved it, then turned off the phone. That was the first brick removed from the wall they'd built. The second came from Colton. A letter, handwritten, no return address, just my name on the front. Inside, we thought you just had it handled, that you didn't need thanks. Turns out we were just lazy. I didn't know what responsibility meant until I had to choose between gas and food. You made it look easy. It wasn't. I see that now. No apology, but recognition. It didn't erase 8 years, but it lit the smallest spark in the wreckage. Jenna tried next. Not with apologies, with arrangements. She offered to split bills. Said she'd talk to the boys. Said they were changing. I didn't believe it. Not yet. But I agreed to one dinner. Neutral ground. Public place. No home turf advantage. We met at a steakhouse in Seattle. Luke was already seated when I arrived. He stood when I approached. That was new. Colton came in late, work shift ran long. He looked tired. Worn down in a way that only labor teaches. His hands weren't soft anymore. We didn't hug. Didn't smile. Just nodded. Jenna tried to fill the silence with chatter. But it died fast. Too many unspoken things in the room. Luke broke it first. I know we treated you like crap. I don't expect you to forget it. He looked down. I thought money came from nowhere. That life just worked because you were always there. He met my eyes. When you left, everything cracked. I didn't respond. I wanted to hear it all. Colton shifted in his seat. I used to think respect was optional, that it was just words. He shook his head. Now I know. It's the only thing that matters. Jenna leaned in. I didn't protect you, she said. Not once. I let them disrespect you and I smiled through it. That was the only apology I got. The only one I needed. Dinner was quiet after that. No jokes. No forced bonding. When the bill came, Luke reached for it. So did Colton. They paid. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was symbolic. And I let them. That night, I didn't go back to Denver. I stayed in a hotel. Cheap, clean, no memories in the walls. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the dinner, measuring every word. They hadn't begged. They hadn't groveled. They had recognized. There's a difference. Recognition is the seed. Respect is the fruit. You don't get one without watering the other. A week later, I signed a short lease back in Seattle. Not with Jenna. Not in the house. Alone. But nearby. Close enough to show presence. Far enough to preserve dignity. We started small. Shared groceries. Split utilities. No more allowances. No more autopay. Everyone pulls weight now. Luke balances a part-time job with college. Colton does shifts at the store. Takes night classes. Jenna went back to nursing. Full-time. They're surviving. Struggling sometimes. But it's earned now. Not given. We have dinners sometimes. I show up, eat, leave. No expectations. At one of them, Luke raised his glass. He said, "We used to think you were staff, a servant." He looked at me. "Now we know we wouldn't have survived without you." I didn't answer, just lifted my glass. To survival, to recognition, to the long road back. But I kept my guard. Because forgiveness isn't a gift. It's a contract. And contracts need signatures from both sides. I've given mine. They're earning theirs. I live alone now. Not in the dramatic sense, not estranged, not exiled, just apart. By design. By necessity. My apartment is small. A one-bedroom near the water, close enough to smell salt on the wind. The walls are bare. The fridge is quiet. And the silence? It's earned. I don't flinch when I wake. I don't brace for footsteps or slam doors. I don't scan the room for eyes that roll when I speak. This quiet isn't absence. It's the echo of a boundary finally respected. We've built something new. Not a family. Not in the way Jenna once fantasized, with matching pajamas and polite dinners. No, what we have now is more honest. We are participants in a contract of decency. I pay for what I use. They pay for what they need. There is no father figure, no surrogate savior. I am a man who gave everything and walked away the moment it became clear that everything wasn't enough. That's the lesson they didn't understand. The one life forced them to learn the hard way. Sacrifice without respect is just self-erasure. It started to show in small things. Luke changed first. I noticed it in his voice. He no longer spoke like the world owed him answers. He asked questions now. Listened. When his tire blew out on the interstate, he called me. Not to demand, but to ask for help. "If you're not busy," he said. "If not, I'll figure it out." I showed up. I brought tools. I taught him how to jack the car properly, how to torque the lug nuts. He didn't scroll through his phone. He didn't sigh. He watched. He learned. And when it was done, he said, "Thanks, Michael, for everything." Not Dad. Not Sir. Just Michael. But the thanks was real. Colton followed suit. He texted me one night, just a simple photo of his first paycheck. $342.17. The caption read, below it, "Never knew how far that had to stretch." I didn't reply. I didn't have to. Truth has a way of carving itself into memory deeper than lectures ever could. Jenna came to visit a few weeks later. She brought coffee. No assumptions. No smiles painted over guilt. She sat on my couch and looked around the apartment. "It's quiet here," she said. I nodded. "That's the point." She took a sip of her drink, then set it down. "I was scared, when you left. Not just because of the money, but because you were the spine of it all. And I let them walk all over you." I didn't argue. I didn't need her to confess. Her presence was confession enough. "I thought I was protecting them," she said. "But all I did was teach them how to neglect the one person holding them up." That was the closest she came to an apology. And I accepted it. With a nod. Nothing more. Forgiveness isn't loud. It's quiet. Like a wound that finally stops bleeding. We found our rhythm now. They still stumble. I still watch from a distance. But the dynamic has changed. No one assumes my labor. No one expects my presence. They ask now. They wait. They thank. Respect doesn't undo what was done, but it makes the next chapter possible. Luke's graduating soon. He invited me, not Jenna, me. The card said, "You were there for the start." Would mean everything if you're there at the finish. I don't know if I'll go. Not because I don't care, but because presence now costs more than just time. Colton's saving for a car. He's got $3,000 tucked into a shoebox under his bed. He told me that, voluntarily, as if letting me in even a little was something sacred. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what family becomes when all the pretense is burned away. Just people choosing, day by day, not to repeat the past. Jenna doesn't ask me to move back. She knows better. We've become cordial, not romantic, not bitter. Just two people who survived a wreck and walked out of it whole if scarred. She invited me to dinner last week. Said she was making roast. I used to love her roast. I said I'd think about it. It's strange. You spend years begging for recognition, and when it finally comes, you're not sure you want it anymore. Not out of pride, out of caution. Because once you've lived as a ghost in your own house, you learn to mistrust the sound of your own name. But I went. Not for her. Not even for them. For myself. To prove I could sit at the same table and not feel like furniture. Dinner was quiet. No candles. No jokes. Just food and faces that finally looked at me without expectation. Halfway through the meal, Luke raised his glass. Cheap wine. Plastic stem. He said, "We used to think you were our servant." He paused. "Now we know we wouldn't have survived without you." That sentence, it didn't undo years. But it landed. Solid. True. I didn't raise my glass right away. I let the silence hold. Let the weight of the words settle. Then I lifted mine. Tapped it against his. And I said, "Survival isn't the same as living." No one replied. No one had to. After dinner, I walked home alone. Through streets washed in streetlight, past closed shops and parked cars. My apartment was dark when I arrived. I left the lights off. Let the quiet embrace me. I stood by the window, looked out at a city that didn't owe me anything. And for once, I didn't feel empty. I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. Not defeated. Finished. There's a difference. We all make choices. We draw lines. We decide who gets to hurt us and who gets to call us family. I drew my line late, but I drew it. And now every step beyond it is mine. So tell me, was I cruel for stepping away? For letting them collapse so they could learn to stand? Was I heartless for cutting the ropes, knowing they'd fall? Or was I finally, after all those years, just fair? Because the truth is, love without respect isn't love. It's servitude, and I won't wear that collar again.